So I learned from a very young age that being upfront about what you want out of a relationship can save you a lot of drama down the line.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad?
Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishawn and I make videos on lifestyle, womanhood, mental health, and I'll throw in some vlogs here and there. And if you're returning, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for your support. Okay, so today I wanted to do something a little bit different and just talk about relationships, specifically how to not lose yourself in a relationship. I think that a lot of young adults and unfortunately some older adults just are not well equipped to not get taken advantage of, and they fall for a lot of BS that had they just kind of been diligent about finding out different things in the beginning, they would save themselves a lot of heartache. So if you are interested in what I have to say based on my experiences, go on ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so my first tip for not losing yourself in a romantic relationship is to be upfront about what you want. I think sometimes it's looked down upon to ask that question. Like sometimes it can seem like it's too forward, but if we're gonna be honest, I think it's important to ask that question as soon as you feel comfortable, because if you're looking for a committed long-term relationship and the person that you're dating is not, it may not be wise to waste time on that. Or at least if you know that they're not looking for that, you can decide if you are ready to just simply date them for the time being and then potentially move on to something else, or if you want to cut ties right then and there. I don't think that it shouldn't scare people away. I think that if you're mature enough to have the conversation, it can be respected. Like if somebody tells you that they don't want a committed relationship, then you can't quite fault them later for leading you on because they told you up front that they didn't want a committed relationship. So it just gives you that freedom and that choice to decide if this is a situation that you want to stay with, if you guys are on the same page. So with any relationship, be upfront about what you want and be upfront about what you're expecting out of this situation. Okay, so my number 2 tip is to not let anyone disrespect your boundaries. I think that, with any relationship, you're getting to know the other person, you're getting to know what makes them mad, what's a deal breaker, what may or may not be a deal breaker, all that stuff. And so once someone pushes your boundary or disrespects that boundary, then you need to address it right away. Because when you don't address those things right away, then you're almost saying that it's okay to do it. For example, maybe you are not ready to have sex. And if that person is pressuring you or making you feel a certain way for not doing it, that's a disrespect of that boundary. So then you need to make a decision. Okay, am I going to continue to deal with this? Am I going to give in, or am I going to cut ties? Because what happens is they disrespect that boundary. They see that it's okay, that you don't address it and you just let it slide. And then something else comes up and it just becomes a cycle of them basically not respecting your personal space and decisions. So when you're in a relationship, it's important to address those things right away, because those little problems become big problems over time. Okay, so number 3, kind of along those same lines of the disrespecting of the boundaries, don't ignore red flags. So one thing I can say from my experience is that the times when things have went sour, I usually had a precursor to that behavior early on that I ignored. For example, I don't like to be hung up on. If you hang up in my face, then you may as well just never call me again, because for me, that is extremely disrespectful and you're basically saying F me. So if it's F me, then F you. Now, with one of my exes, I should have known that we was gonna have an issue, because very early on, he got mad at me for making a joke that I had made before and it seemed to be okay. And I got hung up on, but in the most disrespectful way. And, continuing was my fault. I'm going to just say I was young and dumb. I was still learning. But that right there, just letting that slide, it kind of catapulted into other things that I'm not going to get into, but just basically a string of disrespectful things and a string of red flags that should have given me kind of a knock on the head, hey, you need to leave this situation alone. So yeah, when you start to see red flags or things that you know that you're not tolerant of, pay attention to those things, because they don't just go away. They a lot of times will get bigger and they will fester, and you don't want to have a blow up. At the end of the day, you need to protect your peace at all costs. And so when you start to see these red flags, address them. If you don't see any changes, then leave, right away. Number 4, make sure that you have a life outside of your partner. I think that a lot of times, especially when I see like young women, when they're getting into relationships with their like first boyfriends and stuff, they kind of disregard like their friends, and they'll disregard like other things they have going on, and they kind of make this man the center of their world. And I'm not saying to not make your romantic partner a priority, because obviously in order for things to grow, you need to make your relationship a priority. But you also have to remember that you are an individual and you have your own hobbies, you have your own interests. So make sure that you're still cultivating your friendships, make sure that you're still staying in touch with family, going out the way you used to. I'm not talking about like going to clubs and stuff, but like make sure that you make time for people outside of your romantic relationship. Like, I just think it's important for, you know, couples to just still keep their friends, and your man needs to keep his friends too. He needs to still have his hobbies. I'm not just, you know, saying that it has to be one-sided, but just make sure that as you're growing this relationship, you don't let other relationships fall to the wayside. Make sure that you have your hobbies, make sure that you keep on top of your career or whatever it is that's important to you. But don't just drop everything and make this person the center of your world, because, you know, it's inevitable that, you know, you may have to spend time apart or whatever. Like, you don't want to be in a situation where you feel lost if they're not like around, you know? So just continue to be you, continue to make yourself happy, and continue to cultivate the relationships around you, not just your romantic relationship. Okay, so my last and final tip is to not be loyal to potential. I'm gonna say that again. Do not be loyal to potential, okay? The problem is that sometimes we as women get with men and we have this expectation of what they should be, right? And for some of us, we will spend years hoping that this person becomes said, you know, figure that we've made up in our head or that we believe they have the potential to be. The problem with this is that you set yourself up for disappointment, because in some cases, maybe they'll grow into this person that you think they should be, but a lot of times they're not going to become this person. Not because they don't have the potential, maybe they just don't want to. Maybe that's not what they see in their future or whatever. For example, you might be with someone that does not want children, but you want children. And you think that, you know, maybe sometime down the line, he'll change his mind, and, you know, you guys will live happily ever after. You know, you'll somehow convince him to have children. And next thing you know, 7 years have gone by and he still feels the same way. He still does not want children. You now are disappointed and thinking, oh my God, I wasted all this time, you know, what the hell? But you fell in love with the potential of him possibly wanting to be a father one day, not realizing that he told you or showed you that he didn't want children. He didn't, you know, see that in his future or whatever, but you thought that maybe something about you would change that in him, and it didn't. So I say all that to say, be loyal to the person that is in front of you. Be loyal to the person that they are showing you they are. Not the person you want them to be, but the person that they are showing you that they are. That'll save you a lot of heartache and a lot of issues down the line. I think that, just if we're going back to my first tip, which is like being upfront with what you want, if we do that more often than not, like, you could literally save yourself years of bullshit. There are things that we go through just like as learning curves, you know, just learning how to navigate relationships. But there's a lot of things that we could just kind of X out from the beginning. And I mean, obviously, I'm in my mid-30s and it took me a while to learn some of these lessons, but I do see people that are even older than me still trying to learn the lesson. So we just got to be better for ourselves, ladies. So yeah. All right, you guys, so that is all I have for today's video. I do actually want to do more videos, like kind of based on like just relationships and dynamics between men and women. I'm married now, so a lot of these like examples that I have are from previous situations, but there are like so many lessons that I feel like had I known sooner, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache. But at the same time, I also realized that there were just some situations that I had to go through just being, you know, a young adult coming into adulthood. And I also like feel that you could be talked to till you're blue in the face, but there are just some lessons that you're gonna have to learn. And sometimes you're gonna have to learn the hard way. I'm gonna end it by saying one thing that I can say is, as much like crap that I had in like past situations, I have like, it was like this running joke with my friends and family that I was a savage. And not because I was like breaking hearts or anything like that. It was just because I was very quick to like see certain red flags and bounce, or, you know, notice that somebody isn't making me feel good or happy, and I'm like, yeah, F this, I don't have time for it, I'm working full time, I'm in school, you do that with somebody that you know, that accepts that, and I'm gonna just exit stage left. So I do want to do more videos. I'm going to kind of brainstorm some content, but if you made it this far in the video, and if you guys have a topic that you would like me to talk about, please leave it in the comments, because honestly, this topic interests me, because I always wonder, like, what is it about me that makes me not accept something that makes the next woman accept it, or vice versa, you know? And I like to have friendly conversations. If you watch any of my videos, you know that I'm big on mental health, I'm big on womanhood, lifestyle, all that stuff. And I just think that a lot of times with women in our community, we don't like value ourselves enough. So my message is always to like put yourself at the top, like F all these stereotypes about women having to take crap from men, and you know, you a ride or die if you go through this. Like, nah, I'm not trying to do all that. Like, I'm not trying to suffer to be with you or anything like that. Like, why can't we both just be happy in the situation that we're in? You know what I'm saying? Let me stop rambling. But anyway, if you made it this far in the video and you have not subscribed, please go on ahead and click that subscribe button below, and be sure to turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. With that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
It turned your back, it's like I never knew you. Leave that, leave that, leave that, in the past. Leave that, leave that, leave that, broke up in the past. Leave that, leave that.